There is nobody worse in the world than your high school ex-girlfriend. And I don't mean this literally. I'm sure she's not a bad person. I'm sure she's lovely. I'm sure she's wonderful. I'm sure you have wonderful thoughts about her. But I think it's a wonderful example of the attachment that young individuals hold to anything, but especially people. I definitely experienced this myself, thinking I was gonna marry this girl, thinking that she was my whole world and whatnot, like all that sappy, like kind of sad BS that we all go through. But I think it's an example of a larger spectacle of attachment and how we tie our own self-worth to people, to items, and to things that ultimately are outside of our control. We can barely even control our own actions. Like this morning I actually did a decent job. I wrote for a while, I meditated in the morning, but we can barely even stick to our own word. Like I say I'm going to lift later. Until I do it, what do I know? I'm placing myself in a future box that I've yet to encounter. Most of the times I say I'm gonna lift, I don't even make that happen. Greater point being, we can't even control ourselves. What makes us think we can control outcomes that rely on other people? Sure, you want to have trust. It's good to practice trust in your friends and in your family, but even them, they are going to let you down. For example, my mom. I love her more than just about anybody in the world. She's at least up there. She's at least in the top 5, let's say. But a lot of the times that I've needed her, she hasn't been there because I'm an adult now, and most of the time I have to handle business on my own. If I was too attached to my relationship to family, I would not be able to handle when they let me down. There's a wonderful practice in learning to only rely on yourself, but not in a self-isolating way. It's difficult. I haven't accomplished it for sure. Fuck this trash man. See, even then, I'm mad at something outside of my control in the live action moment, in the right now. But point in case, I think that high school girlfriends are the best example, and maybe relationships as a whole. You know how many people are 15 to 20 years into a marriage and then suddenly someone cheats, or they decide they want a new life, and all of a sudden this person's world has collapsed. They spent every moment, spent every dollar, all of their self-worth is tied to this person having kids, like shared DNA, that now they don't know what to do. So pretty much your spouse, it's not just girlfriend, your boyfriend, your someone in between, whatever, they are your devil, and you need to repent. And by repent, I mean you need to practice self-love. You cannot love another person before you properly love yourself. And it's difficult to love yourself. We all have these negative, what was that word I liked? I don't remember. I read in some book some nice word for that, but these self-doubts that just creep into our head and are way easier than positive self-talk. It's difficult to be positive, and I'm not sure why. It seems like society wants us to bring each other down, at least the capitalist American society that I'm used to. And I'm not even anti-capitalist. They might hang me for that one, but society is inherently competitive, and we don't like people who challenge our own self-worth, even though life is not some zero-sum game. We can all win if we practice positivity, support each other's dreams, but oftentimes we bring down others' dreams because they challenge our own dreams. For example, if you wanted to become a famous musician and you failed, then you might bring others down and say that they can't do that. I think someone just called me disgusting. Maybe, or I don't know, maybe he's talking to himself. Who knows? I am sitting by a dumpster like a chud.
What's up, brother?
What up, man? How are you doing? Another example of me being wrong in the live action moment. The man that I just said, I think he might have called me disgusting, didn't turn on this because he wanted to not interrupt my video. I just had a wonderful interaction that I judged too quickly. And that's where I'm coming. I speak from this place as if I've figured anything out, but it's all just a constant observation cycle. I see something, I point it out, and I still make the same mistake. And that's what's so interesting about being human, is that until we experience something for ourselves, we seem to keep making that mistake. Sometimes it takes many cycles of the same error. Looking at freaking mocha cookie crumble, lunch break. And even then, we might make the same error 100 times. We might get attached to 15 different girls before we realize that maybe we should practice a little bit more self-love. This is a difficult balance, though, especially in the relationship world, because we inherently only understand ourselves and barely even understand ourselves at that. So having a companion who seems to understand us well seems to work. Over history in our world, relationships, specifically monogamous relationships, have seemed to rule. They seem to be an important part of like the general goal of life, because we don't want to be lonely, and being lonely sucks. But the only thing worse than being lonely is not existing. And you, yourself, oneself, does not exist when your identity is attached to another person. And that's the point I'm getting at. Do not pursue relationships. Love is awesome. Love is a risk. Love takes trust. But do not lose yourself in that process. It's so easy to do. Shout out to a good friend of mine. Don't need to say his name. Probably won't see this video. But every time that he gets into a relationship, I lose him. I lose touch. My dad and his best friend have the same thing. Starts dating a girl, 21 out of 22 days he's with that girl, and now he loses touch with his friends. He's less present at work. Not that work should be everything either, but so how do you find this balance of giving someone your all, showing them you love them, while also respecting yourself enough to have a life outside of them? I don't know yet. I'm yet to experience that sort of healthy relationship, that true healthy relationship, which isn't just not fighting. It's being able to conflict, being able to live your separate lives and still have that trust and still have that care for each other without it being all or nothing. Nothing should be all or nothing, except drugs. Those should probably be nothing. But there we are.